Alright, so now we've done the basic setup of our Pinterest account. We look like a real person or a real brand. We've got real boards that make sense. We've started pinning some content, maybe so following some people. Now we're ready to automate our efforts. So at this point, maybe you've added 1 or 2 pins to your boards, and that's fine. But really automating through a tool called Tailwind is what we're going to talk about next, and it makes things so much faster, so much easier, so you don't have to take a lot of your time and manage this stuff. So I would say that automating your pins is essential to growth, really, because unless Pinterest is like all you do, like you just don't have the time to put out the amount of content and fresh content, manually hitting that pin button and checking in multiple times a day and all of these things. It's just impossible. So if you want to grow, this is really a non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. Tailwind is a very affordable tool. You can check for the latest pricing, but it's some kind of a affordable monthly fee compared to the kind of traffic that it can bring you. And just remember, we're here to get traffic, not make friends. And so this is different. Like the reason that we're doing this blueprint, probably the reason that you're listening to it, is because you want to get traffic from Pinterest. So this is probably something different from just your personal Pinterest account. If you're on there with your friends and sharing your favorite recipes and stuff like that, that's all well and good, but that's not what this is about. This is about getting people to our site and then hopefully making some money from that traffic one way or the other. And so automation is the key to making that happen. So using Tailwind to create a pin schedule, which we're going to show in the activity video below, but basically what we're going to do with that is I would suggest doing 20 to 30 pins per day, so you can get going faster. And so again, if you were doing that manually, obviously that would be a big deal, but what you can do with Tailwind is create a schedule, and so it does it at a certain time. So it's not like it's just dumping out 25 pins all at 8 o'clock in the morning. You might have one that's at 8:02 and one that's at 8:45, and then the next one is at 11:15, and you can schedule that out all throughout the day on a 7-day sort of rolling calendar. So we'll show you how to do that so it looks very natural when you're pinning. And then start pinning popular content. So at this point, you're starting out, you've got your board set up, but you don't have any followers yet. Maybe you've picked up a couple from the boards and the people that you followed. Maybe you got some people to follow you back, and if so, that's great. But it can be challenging to go from nothing to having thousands of followers, especially if you don't have a website with a bunch of traffic already that you can say, hey, we're on Pinterest, come over there and follow us. You've got nobody right now. So pinning popular content, stuff that has tons of repins and tons of likes and things like that, is going to be your best chance to pick up followers early on, in addition to group boards, which we'll talk about in a moment. But because those things are already popular, you sort of know that you're pinning something that's a winner. It's something that people are finding and that they like, and so if they find it when you pin it, you've got a chance to earn a follower there because they think you're just a great person with great ideas, right? So it's important to pin popular content in the beginning, and then Tailwind does have a Chrome extension, so for the Chrome web browser, I'll show that in action towards the end of this blueprint. But that'll make things much faster for you when you're pinning content from your own website. You can just kind of click a button, pick an image, and it just goes right to your Pinterest schedule. Now let's talk a little bit about creating pin-worthy content. And so curated lists of ideas are perfect, is what I've found. And again, just kind of speaking from personal experience here. And I think it bears out if you go search Pinterest, or if you're active on Pinterest now, you could probably agree and verify this. Things like 36 protein-packed snacks for kids, 15 easy crafts for rainy days, 21 belly-busting at-home workouts. You see stuff like that everywhere all the time, particularly on Pinterest with these really nice-looking images. And the reason is because it works. That's what people like to see. And so they repin it and they share it, and so there's no reason to try to reinvent the wheel. Doing these creative list type posts work really, really well. So whatever space that you're in, start thinking like that. Create pieces of content specifically for Pinterest. That's what we did. We created stuff that we may not have necessarily even created for the site, if not for the fact that, hey, we want some new stuff to put out on our Pinterest account because Pinterest is going well. It's bringing us a lot of traffic. So let's start creating some content that's going to do well on Pinterest, and lists like that are ideal. tutorials that show people how to do something, how to create something, how to build something. We've also found that those do well, and so those may be a little bit in the DIY space, but really you can show people how to do just about anything, how to do a particular workout, how to build a particular craft, how to make a recipe, that sort of stuff, does really, really well. People want to be inspired, they want to learn on Pinterest. And so think about that kind of content when you're thinking about Pinterest worthy content to create. And then creating infographic style images in Canva, which is a free image editing tool that you can use online. I'll show you that in the activity video as well, but this is very important because it allows you to take up more real estate on the screen and get noticed. All right, and so the bigger image that you use, the more likely people are to see it, and you've got a better chance to grab their attention by using text and images and the whole deal. So you can add these pins manually to your queue with Tailwind, which again I'll also show you, but mixing in those infographic style pins for your really important stuff that you want to get noticed is definitely worth taking a few minutes of your time to create those images, because it's really not hard to do it all once you've done it, and then you can kind of use the same template over and over again when you have a new post that you want to put out there. Alright, so without further ado, check out the activity video below and I'll show you all these steps in action.